How about that for a car reveal, and how about that to kick off our F1 23 driver career mode? Hello everybody, hope you're all having a great day. The F1 23 driver career mode is here, and we are ready to kick off with the AlphaTauri team here. As you can see myself going through the settings here really quickly if you want to pause and see what I'm running. I'm running on 101 AI, a bit low here for the start of the season, but yeah, we'll see how it rolls here. We're going to be alongside Yuki Tsunoda. If you watched the prologue episode, you saw everything that happened there, leading us from Formula 2 into this opportunity in Formula 1. Now, we are the defending Formula 2 champion coming into this season here, as you can see. Myself just kind of checking out everything here. Now, we are going into this season with this AlphaTauri team, unfortunately, at the very bottom of the R&D, so we were immediately looking for some upgrades, because, yeah, look at that. We are at the very bottom of the R&D. It is going to be a rough start to the season. Red Bull is quite ahead as expected, then Ferrari, Mercedes, Aston Martin, Alpine, McLaren, Haas, Williams, Alfa Romeo, and then us here now for this 23 race season. We have a couple of new circuits on the calendar this season, which is exciting, with Qatar as well as Las Vegas. Now, as you can see, brand new monitor in the race weekend here now, as we were getting acclimated with that, but I was most just ready to get on track and kick off this career mode here, as you see us touching down in the Bahrain area and ready to roll for free practice one. We have a brand new intro cutscene with Natalie Pinkham. Let's check it out.
Hello and welcome back finally to the hustle and bustle of Formula One. The F1 2023 World Championship is about to get underway. We cannot wait to get started. Last season saw the biggest raft of regulation changes in years, and we're excited to see more of that wheel-to-wheel racing. The big question is, though, can anyone challenge the dominance of Max Verstappen and Red Bull? Well, all the teams have been working so hard to get ahead in the development race, looking not only at their own car, but those of their competitors. Thousands of engineers working hard back at the factory. We come to the racetrack and we focus on the 20 drivers at the pinnacle of motorsport. But it's important to remember this is very much a team game. And watching that technical battle unfold throughout the year will be fascinating as everyone looks to get to grips with these new regulations. Meanwhile, the F1 World Tour features all the classic highlights. Monaco, Silverstone, Singapore. Great to see all those iconic tracks back, but also a few surprises. Qatar is back after a year away, and the inaugural Las Vegas Grand Prix. The glitz and glamour of Vegas, flat out down the world-famous strip. I know all the drivers have been so excited about this one ever since it was announced. Okay, that is enough from me. Let's get cracking with the action.
I actually enjoyed that introduction pretty well. It's very nicely well done. Presentation in this game is fantastic here now as we are ready to roll for our rookie first weekend, first season here in Formula One. The young Canadian, myself, of course, going up against two rookies of Oscar Piastri as well as Logan Sargent for Rookie of the Year, the Australian and the American, as we were ready to roll for our first laps. Now, I did encounter two bugs as you see me rolling through the setup here. So there was two bugs I encountered through this first episode. One was a pretty big bug, but that will take place at the end that you guys will see. The first one was this right here, very small, as you see myself getting some laps on track. But you see the OSD, the on-screen display. You see where the speedometer, the gears, the overtake, all that stuff is. So that was the default setting. So for some reason in practice and qualifying, no matter what you set it to on the screen, it will stay there and nothing on the screen will change, but in the race it goes to where you actually changed it, because I actually have it in the right bottom corner instead of in the middle of the steering wheel, which I never understand why that's there. So when we get into the Grand Prix, you will see my actual OSD settings here, but I was pretty happy with the car. I was having one issue. My tires were overheating over 100 degrees Celsius really easily, so you see me briefly making a tire temperature change all the way to the bottom. Now on a qualifying attempt, I was really slow, 3.9 seconds off the pace, and it was expected to be dead last in qualifying as we would wrap up free practice one here from Bahrain. Yuki Tsunoda, our teammate there in P15, as we were 18th place in front of Zhou Guanyu, as well as Logan Sargent here. Now, as that would set us up well, though, for the Saturday night here under the lights in Bahrain for qualifying qualifying for the first time in our F1 career. Really excited for this first and opening season. I think it's going to be a challenge. We're in the slowest car on the grid. We're very unlikely to make it at a Q1, but I'm excited for the challenge to try and prove our worth to potentially get a ride at Red Bull going into Season 2. Here we are in Q1, getting our first moments of just full beans out of this AlphaTauri as we head through turn 1 and 2, and getting through the first couple corners pretty well. We are running on strict corner cutting, so we do of course have to be quite careful, but it's pretty lenient here now. And one thing I love about this game, the handling so much better, the grip so much better as well. I feel a lot more confident in the car, and just way more, I guess, connectivity to the car in this game compared to F1 22. This game, hands down so far, a massive step up compared to the last game of F1 22, although there's not much change aside from features. As we cross the line, we go P8. We only beat Logan Sargent on our first lap. Now, I was watching my teammate of Yuki Tsunoda come through to cross the line here on the monitor bank in the garage, watched him go P9, and that was about half a second quicker than myself, so I knew we had some work to do. Final run underway here in Q1, and look at this, down to P19. Our rival coming into this series, Logan Sargent, who we had so many run-ins with in F2, he's in 20th place. And you can see I was starting to find some time. It was this very lap where I started to find some confidence and realized you really have to get hard on the gas pedal, and a lot earlier now in this game compared to Formula 1 22. And look at the time I'm gaining here as we come through towards the end of the second sector here, and I'm still giving up time right there because I hadn't realized yet I could go full throttle through that sweeping right-hander, but we find 0.4 of a second, half a second as we head down into the final turn. We're down to dead last. Sargent goes to only 18th, Piastri 19th. We find 0.7 of a second as we're going to come through to cross the line, but I still don't think it's going to be enough for Q2, and I can confirm it was not enough. P17 is where we will start for our first Grand Prix in Formula 1. Not bad, considering we have the worst car on the grid, but how about Yuki Tsunoda, our teammate, going into P13, advancing into Q2. He once again still found about half a second of improvement over myself as we head getting ready to head to the grid here in our first ever race in Formula 1 from P17 on the grid. Let's head to the Bahrain Grand Prix.
Months of rumour and speculation all come to an end today as we return to racing for the opening event of what promises to be an enthralling season. Welcome along then to round 1 of this year's Formula 1 World Championship. We'll be racing around 3.36 miles of the magnificent Bahrain International Circuit today. Keep an eye out for drivers locking the front left down into the tricky braking zone of turn 10. It's time to take a look at our starting grid for today's race. It's Sergio Perez on pole today, edging out Max Verstappen, who'll start from P2. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Sainz, Hamilton, Russell, Leclerc, Fernando Alonso, Ocon, Gasly, Stroll, Magnussen, Tsunoda, Hulkenberg, Norris, Joe, Bottas, Golden Boy, Albon, Sargent and Oscar Piastri. Now it's almost time for lights out, so let's go down to the track. A new season then, a clean slate where anything could happen. Anthony Davidson is with me today as once again we get another year of Formula 1 underway.
We're into those tense few minutes before the first race then. Everyone's a little bit nervous about reliability. They haven't been running in the hot, turbulent wake of other cars in practice, and they've not been pushing at 100% for long durations. Let's hope no one has to deal with any nasty surprises.
All right then, ready to go racing here in Bahrain now. As you can immediately see me look in the race director, see what everybody's doing. Pretty much everybody on mediums, but we have the two Williams, Albon and Sargent, starting on the soft tire. We're going to stick with the mediums here. It's a medium to hard one-stop strategy here, as they probably won't even do two stops. It'll likely be a one-stop here as we're ready to roll.
So as the formation lap gets underway here for the first time this season, each driver will be wanting to make an impactful start to their season by earning those crucial points and getting a confidence booster right from the off. As the cars come back towards the grid to line up for the start of the race, each driver will be wanting to get the best start they possibly can. And they'll be hoping to finish today's race on the podium, maybe that, within the points.
Okay, Gary, just want to welcome both you and I to Formula One. Don't be afraid to get aggressive on the start here. Go get you some.
I like the way you think, Mark. Let's make it happen.
Perez on pole Martin. Do you expect him to hold off Verstappen?
I bet my left hand that Max will be leading out of turn 1 here.
All right, you hear radio communications between Mark and myself, and you hear Crofty and Brundle in the booth thinking that Verstappen specifically leading out of turn 1 after Perez on pole. A bit of a shock to start the weekend. Here we are ready to roll. It's lights out. We're underway for a Formula 1 2023 driver career mode here as we are headed down this long run towards turn 1. You see all the way to the right side of the circuit. That's Max Verstappen. Go defense 3 wide in the middle. That's one of the Ferraris of Carlos Sainz. The Spaniard catches both the Red Bulls off guard. To the lead he goes here in Bahrain under the lights here. Sunset, actually. It's not dark yet here in Bahrain now, but what a start from the Spaniard of Carlos Sainz to the point here now in Bahrain. You see Lewis Hamilton right now under attack from Charles Leclerc as he's going to go through and take what 5th position right there. You can see just tucked in behind the 2 Aston Martins behind Hamilton. It's Fernando Alonso as well as fellow Canadian of Lance Stroll here. Some battles on in the background there. You can see my teammate Yuki Tsunoda settled in here. A great start for Tsunoda, who's towards the top 10 off the start of this Grand Prix. On myself, P18. So we started P17 down to P18. Unfortunately, lost a spot even though Mark told us to get aggressive here. Don't be afraid to be aggressive, he said. But I certainly struggled off the line here as the start's a lot better in this game. But by the time we come through to the end of lap 1, look at this. Oscar Piastri all over the back of me here, looking up the inside as I try to run down Zhou Guanyu, who's going to break really early into turn 1. I'm going to lunge one up the inside, catch him off guard there, put a car between myself and Piastri, but Zhou briefly fights back. Not going to have enough though. We get back comfortably in front of him now and move up another position there. Back into P17 where we started this Grand Prix here now as we now try to settle in behind Valtteri Bottas. Piastri as well getting the elbows out, got himself briefly in front of Zhou, but Zhou would actually pass him back moments later here now as you can see myself tucked in right behind that Alfa Romeo kick car now as we continue to try and just maintain contact with Bottas now. I was really starting to struggle with tire temperatures again, which I had in practice, but you can see Max Verstappen, it took him a few laps longer than I guess Martin Brundle expected, but he goes to the lead potentially. Sainz does fight back here, lap 4 this is, but it's not going to be enough I don't think. Verstappen back to the point, but hold on, here comes Sainz. You see Verstappen defends the inside AI a lot better when it comes to defense in F123 I've noticed, and well, just quite simply better in general on just about everything here now I've noticed now. But you can see the battles weren't over. Verstappen driving away, Perez realizing he's got to get going here, and he would be in a battle with Sainz. He would get ahead, but look at this, front straightaway next lap. Look at this battle. George Russell goes 3 wide. He's going to pass both Ferraris, and he's going to lunge one up the inside of Perez in the process as well. They were 3 wide into turn 1. Russell's going to get like a 3-for-1 special if he can pull this off, and he will. He goes through into second place. Max Verstappen is long gone down the road. While this is happening here, you can see Leclerc now. All of a sudden, he's gone past Sainz and Perez. He fights one up the inside. I could barely, even in the replay mode, keep track of what was happening. There was so much going on in this group from second on down all the way through about 7th or 8th here now, but Leclerc would get past Russell, move up into second here now as I was P17 behind Logan Sargent, who had now lost a spot to Valtteri Bottas, and there goes his engine. Sargent, the American rookie's engine, fails in the opening race of his career. Well, that's unfortunate. You hear a little bit of a peaky comment over the radio from myself, of course. Maybe no love lost for Logan Sargent from our F2 days there in that prologue that you saw. How about this? The battle's continuing. Look at the DRS effect in this game. Perez just hauls the mail past both Leclerc and Russell down into turn 1. Absolutely insane the effect the DRS has so far in this opening Grand Prix that I noticed. So you can see that it wasn't over the lap 7. Here comes Leclerc again fighting with Russell down into turn 1. Some fantastic AI battles here, and a lot less contact in these battles compared to F122, which was nice to see. I myself, unfortunately, got to P16, but was struggling a lot, and now I had Alex Albon on softs, who was able to pass me here into turn 1, so unfortunately I have actually given up P16 back down to where we started the Grand Prix in 17th place, as, yeah, I was struggling. Now, the big thing I was struggling with was tire temperatures. My tire temperatures were over 100 degrees, and I couldn't seem to be able to get them under 100 100 degrees. I don't know if it was a setup. My setup was an F122 Bahrain setup. That might play a role because obviously this game I've had for a few days now, as I can happily announce that I am now part of the EA Creator Network, so I was able to get this game a little bit early, which big shout out to EA. Thank you so much. Now, as you can see myself just desperately trying to stick with Albon in his DRS, but he actually comes into the pits at the conclusion of lap 12. So my pit stop window had opened on lap 14. I decided to come in a lap early. The end of lap 13, we're going to come into the box here and put on the set of hards. Now, we're not the only one pitting on this lap. I think Kevin Magnussen, yes, Kevin Magnussen is one of the drivers in, and so as well as Charles Leclerc, as we're going to show his pit stop briefly here now in just a moment, but you can see myself coming in, looking for a good pit stop here onto these hards, and it was an okay stop, actually pretty solid, as we're going to be able to get back rolling and focus back in. It was 2.3 seconds here. Now, coming up behind Albon, who of course pitted just in front of us a lap prior to us now, and you can see he's already got a pretty decent gap, and he's on mediums, not hards. Here's a quick look at Charles Leclerc's stop here when he was fighting up in that top 3 battle. Of course, now we'll see if him pitting a lap or so earlier than Max Verstappen, who's now pitting starting lap 15, what difference that will make. But Verstappen should be able to easily hold on to the lead. He had a massive gap now because of all that fighting behind him. Alonso in on those hards. There's Carlos Sainz just exiting his pit box. I was very curious where I was going to cycle out. We get past Zhou Guanyu and Oscar Piastri. Yuki Tsunoda is going to come out in front of me, so we're P17 still, but Yuki Tsunoda, who qualified a great 13th place for the slowest car on the grid, had a good start, was near the top 10, had continued to fall down the order all Grand Prix long to the point where he had now fallen only 1 position in front of me, 1.6 seconds up the road. So it seemed like Yuki had really good qualifying pace, but the AlphaTauri seems to struggle on race pace, that's for sure. Yuki, though, in a battle here with Alex Albon, lap 19, coming up on 10 laps to go already here in our debut in Formula 1, and look at that right there, a bit of a lockup from Tsunoda. That allows me to close in on the back of him, as he certainly seems to be struggling as this Grand Prix goes on now, as we are going to go through the grid with 10 laps to go here. Max Verstappen out in front over Perez. Now, here in Bahrain, I don't know if it's a Bahrain thing or a night race thing, but there's this weird kind of, you can see it, almost like a fog on the track. I mean, it's impossible not to see it. Looks, honestly, I think it looks absolutely awful. I don't know why it's there in the game, but it is, so there's nothing we can do about it. But you can see right here, a battle right now between Lando Norris, Magnussen. How about McLaren? Lando Norris going for points while his rookie teammate of Oscar Piastri scored all the way down in 19th place. I think that's the biggest difference between teammates right now. Magnussen, however, holds on to P10. There is quite a bit of a difference, though, as well between Bottas and Zhou. There are 4 spots in between them as Bottas runs 14th place. You see him there. Albon having a decent run for the Williams, as he's got Tsunoda and myself, us 2 AlphaTauri teammates, right on his tail now, as it would be really cool to beat my teammate of Tsunoda in my opening Grand Prix here now, as we head down towards the final turn. Tsunoda going for a move on Alex Albon, a little bit of contact maybe right there. Albon gets the short end of the stick, and here I go now to the left side. We should be able to maybe go for a 2-for-1 special as we head down towards turn 1. Yellow flag actually in the first sector in turn 1. I'm trying to complete the pass before we hit it, but the red flag is going to come out in Bahrain in the season opener.
Red flag, red flag. We've got a car blocking the track.
And that car blocking the track is Lance Stroll in the Aston Martin. Watch the replay. He loops it. And I have red flags on increased because I thought it was going to be like safety cars in F122, where safety cars on increased were still hard to get at times. So I expected red flags to be similar on increased would be still pretty hard to get. That's not the case. This should not be a red flag. So I can tell you right now, we will be turning red flags down to standard from this point on. I don't want a red flag happening for that. That's just silly. However, this would put everybody on to a fresh set of tires, and we were ready to get back racing here in Bahrain from red flag action here, ready to roll, as it's going to be 5 red lights, less than 10 laps to go. We're back underway. It's a good start for Verstappen, a terrible start there in the background. I think that's Sainz and the Ferrari really struggling to get underway here. I myself here trying to make a big move down into turn 1 on these fresh soft tires, and look at the gains we just made into this first turn alongside Lando Norris. We got also past our teammate of Yuki Tsunoda. So he's 14th, I'm P13 here as we head down this short straightaway, and Verstappen's well off right now as we head down into the corner. You can see Magnussen's going to follow my line. Tsunoda's trying to go up the inside and actually gets the short end of the stick. He's going to lose a position to Kevin Magnussen here, so he drops down to 15th place. I would settle in here with 5 laps to go in 13th, and I found a big difference here. So these soft tires was the first compound of tire all weekend long that I was able to keep in an operating temperature window here of where it was good, which was under 100 degrees Celsius, and all of a sudden I had pace at the end of this race. So we have certainly found the meta of don't overheat the tires, apparently, which it sounds apparently a lot easier than it actually is. So you can see myself actually putting pressure on the Haas of Nico Hülkenberg here. What an ending to what's been a relatively mild and rough start to my F1 career here. A big lunge up the inside right there into turn 1 of Hülkenberg. We're going to move up a position now. He's going to fight back through turn 2, but 3, we're going to be able to move our way forward. Thank you very much, Mr. Nico Hülkenberg, who's going to be under attack from his teammate of Magnussen. So Hülkenberg's return in F1 currently scored P13 with 2 laps to go. It's going to be hard for me to be able to get anything else aside from P12 at this point. Final lap here in Bahrain, our season opener, our career opening Grand Prix here in this Bahrain Grand Prix. It's been a heck of a Grand Prix with a red flag that was unexpected, and something else unexpected is about to strike here. Now you can see the battles up in front of us, Norris and Gasly going at it for that final point. Norris has been fighting for the final point, which feels like for the final half of this Grand Prix, but he just hasn't been able to get it, and he still won't be able to as Gasly hangs on. Max Verstappen, however, in control all Grand Prix long. He is coming through the final turn right now. He's going to kick off this 2023 season with a victory over Carlos Sainz in the Ferrari. A great day for Ferrari, honestly. However, things are about to drastically change. Watch this. Sainz goes from 2nd to 3rd to 4th. What is going on here is we'll find out in a second. Now as I have a big lockup into the final turn, that's going to open the door for Hülkenberg and Magnussen to get us right at the line. A big mistake drops us to P14, 1 spot in front of our teammate of Tsunoda, and then I don't know why, but the game basically immediately cuts to the celebration as soon as you cross the line. I don't like that, to be honest, as Verstappen, Red Bull Racing are going to celebrate, but something weird just happened with the finishing order, and I'm going to talk about that right now because I was also affected by it, but several other drivers as well, including Carlos Sainz, who we saw cross the line in 2nd place, ended up in 4th place. Well, like I said, I was affected too, and what it is, so there is currently a bug with red flags in F1 23. Who could have maybe seen that coming? A brand new feature in a game that EA now has an involvement with and it's broken? Of course. So, what happens is, if your race has a red flag in it, when you finish the race, the finishing order is going to get screwed up. It's almost like it's hitting shuffle mode. It's not a crazy shuffle. It's like some drivers just lose a few positions, like 3 positions or so. And I was going to consider redoing the whole Grand Prix and just turning red flags off because of that issue. But because the winner did not change, I decided to keep it here, and I thought it was a really solid race. But look at this. So we end up in 16th. Yuki Tsunoda, who finished behind me, ends up in 13th place. Norris ends up getting a point over, I think, Lance Stroll, who was down to 12th for whatever reason. So the only thing that didn't change just about is Logan Sargent, who retired from the Grand Prix. So EA, Codemasters, you guys need to get this fixed. So I can confirm I will be turning red flags completely off until they fix this issue. Aside from that, I mean, it didn't drastically change everything, which is good. I mean, we went from no points to no points. Sainz is the only one that really got screwed out of it, 2nd to 4th or whatever. Other than that, a heck of a start to our F1 career. So let's ignore the fact that the game put us in 16th place. We found some pace at the end of that Grand Prix, got a heck of a finish. Made a mistake though in that final turn, which opened the door for the 2 Haas cars. But overall, I was pretty content with that debut here with the worst car on the grid, and Tsunoda as well holding his own. I think we're going to have a heck of a battle this season against him, as well as other drivers for Rookie of the Year. We're going to take off here from Bahrain. That's going to wrap it up for me. I will see you guys in episode 2 from Jeddah in the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. Thank you for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed the ride here with this driver career mode in F1 23. I'll see you guys next time. Have a great day, everybody.